Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me? Let's turn up some music here. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. My voice is low? Okay, I can turn it up. How about now? Is that better? Something like this? Yo, good afternoon. Good to see you all here. Awesome. How's everybody doing? The weekend around the corner? Good times? Yeah, we just began CG Student. My camera is an Sony Alpha A6400 and I'm currently using the kit lens, but I'll be buying a new lens soon actually. Thank you, Limbo Design. Appreciate it. Dribble. I currently have a RTX 4090, courtesy of Nvidia. So yeah, that's one of the best GPUs currently available, and it's treating me well. I used to use a 3070 Raw, so you're not wrong. That was my old setup. I used to use a RTX 3070 Ti and a Ryzen 7 3700X, I believe. But nowadays I'm using the 4090 and I have a Ryzen 9 17900X or something like that. Yeah, pretty beefy setup. But that's nice. That means we can stream lag free, do Blender and everything at the same time. So, you know, very happy and honored to have this great hardware. I'm thinking about maybe starting a live stream channel with gaming Shadow Strike, so maybe I'm gonna do something like that. I enjoy playing video games. I hardly ever have time anymore to do so, so maybe, you know, by starting a new channel, doing live streaming with gaming, I can sort of force myself into playing some more video games again. It is kind of tough to memorize Fimbot, but I get the question quite often, so, you know, it's sort of top of mind for me. I've been using Blender for about 5 years, Skate. 5 years, I believe. Sadly, these days I don't use it that much anymore since I'm mostly editing my videos. And I use it just mainly to present material for the video. But yeah, doing like personal projects and stuff like that is less and less. Yo, good afternoon to see you here, Bayek. Say hello to Bayek, everybody. One of the mods on the Discord. Which game? Currently, I'm playing World of Warcraft Classic. Yes. But before that, I played Elden Ring. I played a bunch of Fortnite. I love Halo. You know, games like that. Played some Rocket League as well. I have only played Red Dead Redemption 1, Skate, not 2. I've heard Subnautica is really good, so maybe I'll give it a try. I believe I do own it. It was free at some point on Epic Games, I believe. But yeah. Titanfall 2. I've heard good things about Titanfall 2. All right, so for selling models. Ooh, that's a good question, Dribble. The thing with selling models, and I believe I've mentioned this before in a previous stream, is that there's like thousands of them, right? And there's a bunch of niches, like for example, aviation, airplanes and stuff, or nautic stuff like boats, cars, space stuff. And you can check on TurboSquid, for example, or one of the other ones, CG Trader, I believe. You can see how many models there are per category. And if you look at these categories, you can sort of start seeing, if you look long enough and you do your research, you can start seeing which niches have potential. Because how you make money with models is like twofold, right? One is the price you can ask for it, and the second is the amount of time you have to spend making them. So if you create models which are easy to make, you can ask less money, but they are easier to sell. If you make very niche models, you can ask a lot of money for them, hundreds of dollars even, but they are harder to sell and less people will need them. However, if you make something that's sort of in between those two, so it is not too pricey, but it's also not too cheap, and a medium amount of people need it, that's usually a sweet spot for models. So maybe look into that. Do I delete the default cube? Yes, I do. I'm actually thinking about making an add-on that does it automatically. How about that? A free add-on. You install it, and the only thing it does is it deletes the default cube every time you boot up Blender. Something like that. Or maybe it brings it back after as well. Super annoying. Text to video AI. You think 3D artists are done for? I was kind of expecting this question. I have made a video on AI, and after seeing Sora, I guess all of you have seen it. It has not changed my opinion on AI. I believe AI is a tool, and it's there to make our lives easier. I don't see it taking any jobs which have value anyways. Are things changing? Yeah. But do I spend hours finding the right stock video for one of my videos? Yes. And do I wish I could just type into Sora generate video with spec X and give it to me for free? Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like for creatives, these things should be treated as tools. I still want to make videos. I still want to make the best videos possible. I still want to make 3D art. Sora will never generate what I have in my mind. It can't. It doesn't know what's in my mind. So as long as I feel creative inspiration within me, I'm not afraid of AI. My Rocket League, I have no idea anymore. It's been 2 years or something since I last played it. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Ruffin. It's absolutely true that AI art lacks soul, and it doesn't lack soul because it isn't good. It's still pretty good looking art usually, but it lacks soul because for a fact that there wasn't an artist who put in his thought, his soul, his inspiration, and reasons for doing things. So it's just based on raw input instead of human thinking. Oh, that's so awesome, Shadowstrike. I'd love to read that. Happy that my advice helped you. That's amazing. Yes, you can boot up Blender with any default template you want. For example, I'm using one of my own templates. I'm selling that on Blender Market as well. And it's basically a render preset, which has set up render settings, which I think are best for most scenarios. And you can just basically open up that file, save it as your startup file, and from that point on, it always opens up in that way. I enjoy a lot of things, Bluefire. Recently, I've been more into game asset stuff, doing substance for shading, UVs, unwrapping, the whole thing. But usually I enjoy telling a story, so environment art, stuff like that. I am standing Icarus Productions. Standing, yes. My chair's over there behind me. I'm thinking about switching to a sitting mode at some point. I currently can't because my setup is all fixed on standing, but yeah, enjoy more or less sitting more, and I think it's a little bit more comfortable for these long streams. Oh, so many questions, guys. They're coming in too fast. Can I use photo clicked by my phone camera as a texture? Yes, you can. You can just import any image into Blender and use it as a texture. So you can just go outside, make a photo of something you think is a cool texture, import it into Blender, and use it. Absolutely, you can. Good morning, or afternoon, or evening, Ishi Geek. I enjoyed your artwork, and we'll start soon, guys. So just answering a few more questions, and then we'll get into it. Can you animate in Blender? Yes, you can. I'm not a character animator myself. I do know a little bit of it, but mostly motion graphic stuff, animations, and things like that are pretty cool and easy to do in Blender. Balance ball, work on the court at the same time, yeah, and then fall over on stream, you know. No, Matthew, I don't have much time for personal project anymore, or fun projects. Usually in my time off, I either spend it with my wife, or, you know, doing some other stuff, playing video games, stuff like that. Thank you. I cannot pronounce your name, but thank you for the compliment. No, this is different to the Punisher challenge. It's way less big. I'm intending on doing something bigger in the future. We're working on maybe getting something going there. But these are just monthly challenges on the Discord. And while we're at it, let's actually switch over to all the submissions. I don't have a portfolio or ArtStation Hero. No. What about the dog? Oh yeah, I walk the dog in the free time. Yeah, for sure. Yes, Shadow Strike, I'm married. That's a good one, Smeeth. Yeah, I have a lovely dog and cat for that matter. But yeah, I have to walk the dog all day for sure. The legs get tired. They do after standing 2 hours for sure. Maybe I will make an update video on 4.1. Yep. What the dog doing? The dog is currently sleeping. At least I hope so. Smeef, it's like after 12 for you, dude. What are you still doing up? It's basically Saturday for Smeef, guys. That's like weird, right? Anyways, okay. Thank you for all tuning in again, and we're gonna do this month's community challenge art review. Obviously, this month, February. Yes, I did see the new emote. I love it. Like, it's amazing. Yeah, you guys are cracking me up every so often. This time around we did it a little bit smaller because the Punisher challenge was also running this time around, so we felt, you know, let's keep it a little bit smaller, less prizes, give people time to focus on this big thing for Punisher. He has amazing prizes, amazing talent as well, so, you know, we figured out, let's stay humble with our small Discord challenge here. Anyways, so this time around we have prizes from Fox Render Farm again, 300 render credits in dollars, first place, 200 for second place, and 100 for third place. And we have Discord roles as well. If you're not in the Discord, make sure to join. There is a link in the video description. Also, I believe we have stream alerts going on, which means that if you guys subscribe, join as members, or give super chats, there should be notifications. Render credits are basically internet monies that you can use to use the render farm from Fox Render Farm to render out your projects in Blender. So if you have a slower hardware PC, you can still make an amazing project and just render it out on their render farm. All right, so these are the prizes, and let's get into the submissions. The first one, aptly named, is it like, no, it's nothing like cryptocurrency. It's basically just their way of explaining how expensive a render is. If you start a render on a render farm, they'll usually tell you how much it will cost you to render out the animation or the frame, and you have to pay money essentially for that frame to be rendered, but they're giving you credits or the money for the renders for free. All right, so the first one, Why Did I Start So Late by HHKKH. And yes, are great for improving render credits, other prizes, all the good stuff. Yeah, so I believe HHKKH started a little bit late on his project, but I do really enjoy it because, let's see, I can zoom in here. That's really cool, right? It's basically a planet being torn up. And I think the moon is sort of crashing into the Earth here, which is really cool. I think there's a movie about that, but correct me if I'm wrong. Really cool idea. The moon gravitating towards the planet and crashing into Earth and destroying it. I think it's really well done. There's a lot of detail. Love these sort of atmospheric things around it. All these small little details. Trees are looking great. The clouds, volumetrics. Over here as well, smoke, fire, moonfall. Ah, yeah, that's it. I think I actually saw it. Not sure though. Really cool submission. Yeah, enjoyed. My main feedback maybe would be you need a little bit more sense of skill for this image. I'm not sure if you guys agree. And obviously this is very hard to do, right? Because the moon, as we see it in the sky, is quite small. But if it were to come up close to Earth, it would be huge. But because we lack a little bit of relative skill here, like maybe a mountain or something human, like a car, man-made stuff, you know, or an actual person, we would get a little bit more skill, and it would sort of make the moon more intimidating and, you know, really show that it's huge, and it's there to destroy the Earth. All right, next one. We found him, Julius. Amazing submission. Really love this one. We can zoom in again here. So there's an astronaut pointing at this planet, which I think is an alien planet, and I don't recognize it as one. And we have this rover over here. There's some stuff lying around. The environment is looking amazing. He's definitely standing on some sort of moon-like structure because there's no atmosphere, and the moon doesn't have an atmosphere. So I think this is really well done. The lighting is amazing on the astronaut. It's very strong, but that makes sense, right? Because there's no atmosphere. It's just sunlight. And if the sun shines on the astronaut, there's nothing to sort of block that. And it's going to be strong. So that makes a lot of sense. Great submission. My main feedback point for this one, and if you've seen my video about lighting in Blender, it also goes over color a little bit. And there's several ways to color something, right? You have color theory, complementary color, stuff like that. And for example, orange, this guy's orange, is a great complementary color for blue. Also works with yellow because it's very similar. Also works with the lighting, which is very yellowish as well. But what you've done here is added an additional color, which the pinkish, you know, and that's fine. But basically, what you've created is a 3-color scheme, and what it can do is it can create some sort of cartoonish effect, like a comic. Like Marvel stuff. Marvel usually uses 3 colors as well in their shots, at least in some movies. And it gives a cartoonish look to things. So personally, I would have liked this image a little bit better if the planet was, for example, blue, or maybe orange as well. Yellowish could also work. Or maybe the astronaut should have been, you know, white. I can turn down the music. Yeah, for sure. No problem. Yeah, but overall, a really, really good submission and a very good understanding of light and composition in this one. Enjoyed it. This next one is called Watchmen Space Odyssey by Mangosta. And this is with, what's he called? Dr. Manhattan or something? From Watchmen. A really good movie, by the way. Go check that out if you haven't. And the colors seem flat, yes. Funnily enough, like, truthfully, if we were to look at this realistically, the moon lacks a lot of color, right? It's mostly white and gray. So a moonscape scene would technically be very flat in color. Although there would be a lot of contrast because the sun is shining. Like I said, there's no atmosphere. There's nothing to diffuse sunlight there. So all shadows would be incredibly hard. Soft shadows like these wouldn't exist because the sunlight is just there. And but yeah, I mean, the image looks fine. I think there's some sort of story going on, and my main feedback for this image would be try and sell that story a little bit more. I know this character from the movie, but not everybody does. And this black monolith, it doesn't really mean anything to me. So what's going on? You know, what's he doing there? What is the story you're trying to tell, essentially? And the more elements you can add, maybe change the camera angle to be more behind Dr. Manhattan, maybe change it to be more behind the monolith. Basically, look at the camera angle, look at the lighting, look at the elements in your shot, and try to tell your story as best as possible. Yeah, you want to see more of the monolith. Yeah, maybe that's a good tip as well, Matthew. You want to see more of the monolith because it seems to be an important part of the image. So, look into that. The next one, Watching Another Planet Die by Ben. This one is really cool. I like the composition here with the astronaut and this little robot guy on the side here. I believe this robot is from what's it called? Something like Robots something on Death, Love and Robots, Love, Death and Robots, something like that on Netflix. But yeah, this is really cool. The planet over here is the main thing that draws your attention. For me though, it feels a little bit too low poly. Love, Death and Robots, yes, that's one. It feels a little bit too low poly compared to the rest of the scene. So you obviously went for a realistic look. If we look at the robot, you know, the astronaut, the lighting, the environment over here, it all has a very realistic look. And the planet, I think you used cell fracture, which is one of the features or add-ons in Blender, to probably sort of break that up. And the idea is very cool, but you could have done exactly what you did, but then afterwards add in a lot of displacement. Find some rock textures, displace everything, and have it be a little bit higher fidelity, if you will, just to break up the sort of low polyness of this exploding planet. Yeah, I watch Netflix for sure, Moki. Yeah, so this is probably a self-fracture thing. So yeah, that would be my main feedback. Try to make sure everything in your scene, I've said it before in previous streams as well, try to make sure every element in your scene contains the same amount of detail. But overall, great composition. Like the lighting in this one. Well done. Good night, CG student. Sleep well. Thanks for tuning in. And hopefully see you in the next one as well. So our next submission, The Search for Cosmic Life by Popgun. What do you guys think? I think this one is really cool as well. Hey, thank you, Mohammed, for subscribing. Appreciate it. So we have over here a spaceship that is trying to land, I think. We have a very rocky surface. We have some sort of stellar arrays trying to pick up sound from outer space, maybe. And we have a big structure over here. And indeed, like Bake is saying, we have 2 very bright lights. Now, I like you using color, right? Because space scenes tend to be very grayish. So adding in some color is a great idea. Having said that, though, from a realistic standpoint, I believe all light that comes in through space is white. And that's because either, and you know, I'm not 100% sure on how the physics and you know, science behind everything works here, but red light tends to be infrared, right? And blue light tends to be ultraviolet. So these are 2 light spectrums that we can't see with the naked eye. So all the light that comes in on Earth from outer space, from stars, whatever, is white, yellowish. So having bright red and bright blue might not necessarily make a whole lot of sense. Maybe you should have introduced those light sources on the planet's surface instead of having them be in the sky. However, I do like the idea of 2 bright stars because it makes it feel alien, you know. We're used to seeing just 1. I believe there's actually more than 2, maybe. So there's 3 or something like that. That's a cool idea. It's a little bit like Star Wars, right? Where there's multiple suns as well. Yeah, David, that's a good point. The rocks are a little bit sharp, and the whole rocky surface in general feels a bit homogeneous in color. So maybe, you know, make it a little bit lighter, have the rock be less dark, and add some variation in color just to break up this sort of monotone color here. But yeah, overall, really cool submission. I think the story is pretty cool of this sort of inhabited alien moonscape. And there's plants here as well. I just noticed that. So that's pretty cool. All right, next one. That's Not Flat by Atomic. So first of all, you know, let me know in the chat if you're a flat earther. Hope not. Hope none of you are, but you know, you never know. There's a lot of people out there who are flat earthers, so it's a funny title, right? It's a good idea. Like the lighting in this one, very uniformly colored. I think that's pretty good. In this case, a clear choice for a 1-color scheme for this image. It's blue. It might be a tad strong in the blue department. I believe there's 1 or 2 more where I feel the blue was a bit strong. So maybe it could have been desaturated a little bit. But cool render. There's nice depth of field, foreground element in the form of the rover, astronaut over here. And I especially like the planet in the background. It has cool atmosphere. Looks intriguing, and you're wondering what's going on there. Yeah, cool. Great submission, Atomic. Well done. I don't have that much feedback besides maybe working on the saturation a little bit. Oh, one thing. It's about aspect ratios, and obviously, you know, we're asking you guys to submit a 1920 x 1080 or, you know, a regular full HD image, but you're welcome to add these black bars in. And I feel this is one of those images that could benefit from being wider instead of higher. So it's very similar to this image where Julius decided on using these black bars for a little bit of, you know, condensing the image vertically, making it feel wider. And I believe this one could definitely use that as well. Would make it just a little bit more intriguing, and you could pull the camera back a little bit further, go for a little bit wider shot, makes it look a little bit more immense, intimidating, and gives you more skill. Yo, Topsy. good afternoon or evening, wherever you are. But for me, good afternoon. All right, this next one is called Research in Moon by Ramon. This is what I mean, right? Lunar scenes, moon stuff, space stuff, it usually tends to be very gray, white. And I think Ramon did a great job here capturing that vibe. It looks very, very realistic indeed, like KB3D is just mentioning. This feels like an actual photo that could have been taken on the moon. Now, we know for sure it's not because the photos back then weren't that sharp and good. But imagine if we went to the moon now. This is what a photo would look like, probably. You know, this is also good, right? So the colors over here. Oh, my bad. There we go. The colors over here on the spaceman, they're quite blown out, right? So I think the suit is supposed to be orange, but all we can see, the small parts of it are either almost white or they're turning almost pinkish reddish, and that's because the colors are very overexposed. And normally this would be a bad thing, right? I would say dive into false color in Blender and make sure everything is properly exposed. However, like I said, there's no atmosphere on the moon, so the sunlight will be very, very intense, and because it is, colors tend to overexpose because our cameras don't have enough dynamic range to capture all that light. So this makes a lot of sense. Adds realism to the image, so that's a great, great choice. No rover on the moon. Why not? Yo, Mohammed. Good afternoon. Hey, Prince. Good to see you here, man. Yeah, great submission by Ramon. Very, very, very well done. All right, so we have our next submission, and it's called Plan B, a Lunar Retreat by Sep. Cool idea here. You can always send an email, Fabio. You can send it to business@kaizen3d.com. Can't promise anything, but I'll have a look, reply, and you know, we can always see where it goes from there. But yeah, very cool idea. I believe Sep created a space for people to live in while the Earth is getting destroyed. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call this a retreat. It might more or less be, I don't know, survival shelter. But no, I guess the idea here was that this person was having a nice moon retreat, you know, taking some time off. And while they were doing that, the Earth is getting destroyed. So it's a very traumatic and intense image. I think, having said that, my main feedback for this image would be have a look at the movie Passengers, I believe it's called. Passengers, is that the one? But yeah, Passengers, I believe it's with Jennifer Lawrence and what's his name? Pratt? Something Pratt? No idea. Chris Pratt, that's the one. So if you check out that image, it's about something in space as well, right? And it's about a retreat as well, because it's just huge spaceship which is meant to function as a living luxury habitat for the people who were intended to be on the ship. But I feel like they tend to capture the vibe very well of somehow this feeling very empty and sad at the same time, even though everything looks fancy and luxury. So maybe looking at the color scheme, using more white colors or sadder colors, you know, I have quite a few warm colors going on, but maybe doing something like that, comparing it to that, could be a good idea. The other thing for me is the stars. They are a bit too bright, in my opinion, and a bit too round, maybe. So to make stars in Blender, and I'm not sure how you did it this time, maybe you did exactly this, so I might be wrong, but if you want to make stars, it's really easy. Just go to well, actually, let me just show you guys, you know, show don't tell, right? All right, so to create stars in Blender, Really, really easy. Just go into shading. And what we can do here is if we go into rendered view and we change this from object to world, we can change our world shading here, and we can just take a noise texture. Noise texture, there you are. That's the color. And we're just gonna up the scale here to be insanely large like this. Use a color ramp, there we go. And we just crank in this black value here. Something like this. And you want to drag it in pretty far, right? Because having the stars be this visible and all of them be this visible as well means they're all huge. Yeah, I know about Voronoi because a lot of people say use Voronoi. I think noise texture works just a little bit better. You can just up the strength here, make something like 5. To me, this feels more realistic, right? And I say use noise because it creates a bit more blobbiness, and light, you know, not everything is spherical in a sense that two stars might be very close to each other. So the sensor of your camera wouldn't capture it as just one blob, but as two separate blobs sort of merging together. And that's what the noise does for me. So I usually use noise. However, yes, you can use Voronoi, of course. Oh, not Voronoi, but Voronoi. So you can just use this one. I believe we need to change it up. So instead of using, or just go for something like this. And we'll just up the scale. I think this is the alternative, Voronoi. Personally, I enjoy noise more, but you know, might be whatever, right? It's all up to you. But yeah, that's how you make stars in Blender. Really easy. Star background, easiest thing ever. Anyways, yeah, overall, very well done. I feel like I recognize this element from your previous render. Is this something you used before? It's a pretty cool thing. It's like a fancy lamp. But yeah, well done. Make the stars less visible. You're good to go. Maybe work on the colors. Yeah, I what you're saying is correct, Bayek. Noise will have more variation in how bright things are, and which makes sense for me with stars. Yeah, like Nagi is saying as well, right? The exposure for this shot would be fairly low because it's a relatively dark scene anyways. So having the stars be that bright would be weird. All right, next one, Parallel Universe by Hartley Smoker. I think this is a really creative idea. When I saw this image, I was like, oh damn, that's such a good idea. The story behind this is, as far as I know, is that basically what if the moon was the habitable planet and the Earth was actually the moon of the moon? It doesn't make sense. But yeah, basically what we have here is the moon, but then alive, right? So there's plants and water and an atmosphere and everything there. So yeah, I understand what you mean with the kinetic sand here, but I think that's just because of how the moon surface looks. I think it's really, really cool. It's a really great concept as well. You can tell though that the colors in this image, they're just sort of texture painted on, I think. So they're not necessarily sensical for a an actual nature planet, you know, because why would all the greenery be up here and it would just sort of fade over like this? You would see more spots between each other. Maybe if you have a look at how Earth looks from space, you'll notice that there's patterns and stuff going on. Yeah, but it's really cool, and this one is really cool as well, right? So this, look at this. this is Africa, but it's now the moon. Low brightness stars could work. Funnily enough, if you look at a lot of photos we have taken from the moon, either stars don't show up on those images or they have been removed in post after. I'm not sure, but usually most images don't have stars. Really great submission. Very unique idea. Love it. Original. All right, so the next one we have is called Moon Quests by DigiLime. So first of all, what really stood out to me in this image, it feels very bright and welcoming. Yeah, there's some Roblox astronaut going on here. I really like the lights in this scene, although they are a bit intense and everything has these sort of lens flares going on. It still looks really cool. It feels warm, although cold at the same time. Lighting looks cool. Now, I'm no expert on how cameras work, but I believe lens flares are sort of based on the angle of the lens towards the light. So it would be kind of weird for every light in a shot to have lens flares. Having said that, you know, lens flares are mostly up to personal taste anyways. I think this one is really cool. The one in the sky here behind this planet, sort of with the sun coming from behind this planet. That's a really cool lens flare. The crystals look amazing. Yeah, cool idea. Well executed. Oh yeah, so these are like the Photoshop lens flares, right? Oh, your submission was just a while back, Atomic. So you need to watch the VOD after, or I don't know. Can you scroll back on this live stream? Don't think so, right? But we're a few in, not too far though. Yeah, cool submission, DigiLime. I like how it looks. Well done. It's very stylized, but that's cool. Moon Landing by Webo. Now, you guys probably will recognize this one from the thumbnail. Scroll back to what? To Atomic's render? There it is. Yep. Anyways, Moon Landing by Webo. I think I mentioned this in the Discord as well. I was really hoping to see one of these types of renders. You know, there's so many people who believe the moon landing is a conspiracy. So it's really cleverly done. The idea behind this is just so fun to me. It's a fake moon landing. You know, there's so many fun little details in this image as well, right? So you're looking at it and the astronaut's posing, right? This guy's making a movie from it. And then you look over here, there's another guy for when this guy's tired. So that's very funny already. Now over here, we have the space shuttle that they are bringing in for the space shuttle shots. And then over here, we have this sort of display where some person can see, you know, what's being filmed. And there's this exact photo being taken right now, coming in through the wire here. And, you know, you can see the exact image over here. It's just the same image. This guy doing the same pose, the flag, the lander, everything is here. And you know, it's just brilliant to me. Over here we have UFOs, we have pieces of aliens sticking out of this box. Area 51, we even have some freaking planets over here to get some outer space photos of the planets like Earth and the moon. I think it's the backdrop was just made with Photoshop generative fill, of course, at the time. I agree that the one thing this image sort of has against it is composition. Well, not necessarily composition. I think the composition is fine, but it feels generally quite busy. It's a so-called noisy image because your brain has a lot of things to process. However, I think in this case, I don't really mind it because it's so well done. All the little details and Easter eggs in there, that I enjoy the process of looking through this image and seeing all these things appear while I'm looking at it, more than the fact that it might be a little bit too busy. Yeah, it keeps you engaged. I think that's a very good way of describing Ishii. KP3D. I will stop competing if this doesn't win. I mean, if you stop competing, and there's probably a lot of people that they'll be happy about that because they have a better chance at winning too. So, you know. But yeah, no, absolutely. This is one of my favorite submissions for this one. So, Webo, well done. And you're, in my eyes, a major contender for winning this round. All right. So the next one is called A Lunar Inspection by Meow. Meow. I think this is a very simple, like relatively simple composition, and I enjoy that. I think it's well done. Doing a few things and doing them well is often better than doing a ton of things and doing them poorly. So I really enjoy this image. The stars look great. I think this is a great example of proper usage of stars in the background here. You can see all the difference in brightness as well. The astronaut looks cool. The scanner is amazing. There do seem to be... I'm not sure if there's two. Yeah, there's two light sources, I guess, because of this. I don't really mind that. I know it doesn't make sense if this were to be real on the moon. But like I explained in my lighting video, if you do photo shoots, movies, stuff like that in the real world, there's usually this person called a gaffer there, and the gaffer is responsible for lighting in these real life productions. And what they'll do is use one of these big, bright, white screens and pop it above a person to reflect sunlight additionally on the other side of their face, or they'll use these reflective screens to brighten up a person from below. And it's because telling a story in the image is more important than achieving complete realism. Realism often is boring, right? Because we've all seen it 1,000 times before. So making things prettier than they necessarily are in real life is important in my eyes. So the extra light here, the two light sources, no problem for me. Great image. Yeah, the ground looks pretty unique as well, for sure. Hey, that's so cool, Matthew. I've worked with plenty of gaffers before, and I have deep respect for gaffers. It's amazing what they can do with light, and something that sort of opened my eyes to the capabilities of light as well, right? Absolutely. Oh yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Maybe because I have a dog, but I might be prejudiced. This one is called Lunar Treat by Sanjay. And I mean, what's not to love, right? We have spaghetti, we have eggs, we have a dog in space. What the hell, Rowan? I have no idea why there is spaghetti in space. Or is this even spaghetti? I'm not sure. It might be some sort of noodles, actually. Now look at it. Doesn't look like spaghetti. It looks like noodles. No matter though, there's a dog in space. It's floating there. It's looking happy. It sees food. It's a fun image. Does it make a whole lot of sense? No, it does not. But did I have a giant smile and giggle a little bit when I first saw it? Yes, I did. So this person managed to hit me, on an emotional level, and the image looks, from a composition and lighting standpoint, it looks great anyways. So who cares how realistic it might be? I think it's amazing. I love it. And in case you guys didn't know that, there actually has been a dog that went to space. I believe the dog's name is something like Laika or something. Yeah, Laika. There it is. I mean, look at that. Look at Laika. Laika went to space. That's amazing, right? Can you imagine being a dog and going to space? I can't even imagine going to space as a human. It's like crazy to me. All right. Next one. Yeah, they did. It's sad to an extent, of course. The monkeys died as well, right? I believe, and the bird. So it's one of those things, right? With it's all in the name of science, but the idea in and of itself is cute to me, of a dog going to space. But yeah, absolutely sad that the dog had to die. Thank you for subscribing, Everett and Mark. And we have one more, actually. Christina, thank you for subscribing. Yep. Next one, Lunar Landscapes by Ralph. Really cool submission. Great idea. Looking out through a window makes a whole lot of sense too, right? You can comfortably take photos from inside of your moon shuttle, your moon house. So I feel like this image could have been one of the winners if the person had more time to find out all the details, because the moon surface looks amazing, Earth looks pretty great too, but it just feels like all the things here were very sort of made in their base form, like this rover, for example, and it just needed more time to add in more details. Basically, it feels a little bit more like a blockout, and adding in more details, dust. It could even just be textures, by the way, not necessarily modeling, but just adding in stuff like dirt, dust, grime on these things, right? The moon is probably dusty as hell. Would really sell the overall image. And another thing I would do for this image is, let me make a quick screenshot for this. You go away. Yeah. Screenshot is I would zoom it out a little bit. So I noticed in your post for this one that you actually had more space around it. So I would kind of like to see that, honestly. Let's see what Photoshop does with it. Thank you, Cool Dog. Appreciate it. Yeah, I know, Marcel. It's really sad that happened, but overall, it's sort of okay. Photoshop doesn't know what to do with it. Yeah, that's a really bad Photoshop. Thank you very much. Let me just go into Discord and show you guys, because I can just pull up the submission. Where are you? I can't find it. Where is it? Where did you go? I must be blind. Blind is bad. Where are you? Submission. gone. I can't see it no more. Okay. Oh, there it is. Finally. Jeez. All right. So if we check out this viewport here, yo, Fire Specs, good to see you here, man. Flex your emotes. Yes, definitely do. If you guys want emotes like that too, make sure to become a channel member. There should be a join link in the video description. Yeah, so if you look at this image here, and I can't zoom in now, guys, sorry, but you can see there's more space around this window here in the original setup, and I would have enjoyed it if you would have zoomed out a little bit more, just because having it zoomed out here gives you more space around here, makes the window a little bit smaller, and further enhances that sort of lonely feeling of you standing inside of this shuttle, looking outside at all these other space shuttles, and looking at Earth from outer space, right? And if we compare that to your submission here, you can see it's a windowsill somewhat, but it also feels like it could not be to an extent. So really selling that, just zoom out a little bit more. I think that's a little bit better to sell the window look. That's a shame, Ralph. Yeah, I figured you lacked a little bit of time. The idea here is really good. The execution and setup seems to be all there, and you just need more time for this one. All right, so the next one, this one is called Lunar Landscapes again, by Brachi, which is the winner of the previous challenge. As you might remember, the amazing diver underwater. Very similar in color, by the way. Color theme for this image is very similar to his previous submission. I think it's really cool. The astronaut here looks amazing. Lighting again looks amazing. I feel the image might be a tad too blue in this case. I would have liked it better if it was less saturated. And the orange on the bottom could be brighter, yes. Yes, I'm from the Netherlands, Nate. Can you tell by my accent? Damn it. Make sure Brian doesn't win. No, I think great submission. There is something similar going on in this image with Sep's submission. So there's a comet apparently flying towards this planet here, and this astronaut is witnessing it. Yeah, I mean, great submission. Not a whole lot I have to add for this one. It looks pretty cool. I think this is one of those images, by the way, which again could have benefited from maybe doing the black bars, zooming it out a little bit, making it more wide. You know, go for that cinematic shot. The G sound, yeah. Yeah, that's very Dutch. Great submission, Brachi. Thanks for submitting again. Next one is called Lunar Industrial Revolution by Black Wiz. This one is really cool. I really enjoyed this one. Uh-oh. Dutch pastries. What are Dutch pastries? Like tompoes and bolus, stuff like that. I do have opinions on how to eat a tompoes for sure. We're not gonna get into that though. It's gonna be one hell of a stream there. Yeah, I remember. Oh yeah. Let's forget about that, Joshua. Let's forget about that. Yeah, this one is really cool. There's a lot of detail. The funny thing about this one is I believe all of these are like textures, because the model itself of this giant moon base was actually relatively simple. And I think that really goes to show what a texture can do for something. Like, because obviously you can tell it's a little bit flat, but even then, right, there's so much detail in this thing, and it's just a texture slapped on a very well, relatively simple model of a space station base. Very cool. The moon landscape in this one is like perfect for me as well. Especially because, and that's something I missed in a few of these submissions, is that this person decided to really focus on having a differentiation in how the ground looks. So the moon is rock, right? But everywhere where there's rock and there's erosion to some extent, like the moon has, you know, something of wind going on as well, I believe. Maybe not. I'm not sure. Well, at least there's some sort of erosion, and that means you get dust particles, and these dust particles, they tend to gather in the valleys of stuff. So as you can see here, we have dust particles, but we also have rock. So that makes a whole lot of sense, right? That's because that's exactly how the moon looks. It's dust and it's rock. It's both of them. So yeah, amazing submission. I agree with what Bake is saying. There's details on the mountains that make it look huge. You get a sense of skill. The car is here to tell a sense of skill as well. Yeah, very well done. This is a crane. Obviously, this is not a very small crane. It's intended to be a real life-size crane, so this should be huge. Very cool. Very cool. Well done. Next one is called Lunar Hell by Sigurd. Now, I believe I saw this submission quite early on, or at least like a work in progress shot, and immediately drew my attention because I think the lighting in this one is like amazing. The idea is very cool. It's a very unique sort of take. It's original. Might not be realistic again. I don't care. It looks cool. You know, just make cool stuff. Don't care too much about realism. For me, there's several things I would add to this. Not necessarily change, just add. The rock here on the sides, it looks quite dark. Again, if we're outside and we're in space, there usually is some sort of starlight. As you can see on the astronaut, there seems to be some sort of starlight as well. And we can see it on the planet here as well. And so that would mean this rock could be quite a bit brighter. Now, I know this could technically be a choice because the focus should be on this hellfire over here. And the idea to that is pretty cool, but I feel it's just a bit too dark now. You're sort of losing all the detail here. And similarly for the planet, I would have liked it if it was not bluer, but more blue, as in this sort of blue area came down a little bit further. Just to make it more visible and grab a little bit more attention as well. Canada, where's Canada? Yeah, Canada. Canada's somewhere up here. They don't have lights, you just can't tell. Or maybe they fell in the ocean. Who knows? I mean, we have hell on the moon here, right? So maybe Canada fell in the ocean. Maybe this person has a great dislike for Canada. Who knows? Yo, Critical Gaming, thanks for subbing. Yeah, great submission. Really enjoy it. And like I said, just two things I would add. More light on the rocks, more blue on the planet. Next one is called Lunar Exploration Rover by Jordan. Cool idea. Absolutely. Well done on creating your own model, because this looks like a unique model to me for a space rover. For me, the main thing I would say this image might need is a little bit more detail on the rover. I think overall the composition is pretty good. Lighting is pretty good. Depth of field is nice. So it's got basically everything going for it. Your stream's way behind on chat, is it? I've said it's ultra low latency, so I have no idea. Chat just seems to be sort of coming in whenever. Sometimes I get like a big bump of new chats. The chat on the stream is behind. Oh, okay, yeah, that could be. I believe it's some sort of latency as well. No idea. No worries. I'll have a look at the plugin for it after the stream. But yeah, there's a few things I notice. I believe some of these things are whoops. Why is it doing this? Let me zoom in. Could use smooth shading. So for example, here I'm seeing some faces. Similarly over here, I'm seeing some faces. So these seem to be general, right click, set shade smooth, or auto smooth in this case, issues that you might want to look into. And yeah, like I said, personally, I would add in more detail. These rovers tend to have a lot of small things and wires and, details that sort of cover parts of the object. They probably all have a function, but yeah, doing that makes it look slightly more realistic, maybe. But stylistically, you could also not do that, so that's fine. Cool. Thank you for submitting, Jordan. Yeah, so who's next? I think it's KV3D, and it's called Lunar Civilization. What do you guys think? I'll let you guys tell me first before I say too much. The color grading is really cool. Yeah. You know what it reminds me of? Of Dune, which was one of my favorite movies of the last probably several years. So Dune is amazing, and the color grading really reminds me of that. Yeah. So for the insiders here who are on the Discord, KV3D actually made a different artwork first, and then completely scraped that and decided to go for something different. So yeah, I think it's really cool. I know KV3D spent a lot of time making the ground look good, and you can really tell because it's very unique. It has a lot of stuff going on. It's very rocky. There's a lot of small rocks going on. So I think it looks great. This sort of space station over here looks great as well. There's a few things I do have to note. Okay, so there's Big Lad on the chat. Oh yeah, that's whatever. I'm sorry that it's like that, but I don't think there's much I can do about it. So my main feedback for this is, first of all, the repetition in the rocks. I think you have like maybe 5 types of rocks, and it sort of shows. So you can obviously very clearly tell that these rocks are the same, and you can tell that this one is the same as well, and probably a few more of these are the same as well. And it's always, especially if they're so next to each other like these two, it's always a bit uncanny seeing 2 of the exact same models. So whenever you do stuff like that, just make sure to maybe rotate it 180 degrees so we can immediately tell that these rocks are the same. That would be feedback number 1. And the second point of feedback I have is I find it kind of hard to tell skill here a little bit, and that's because we have, for example, we have this spaceship over here, right? It's pretty huge, I think, because these ones are all very small, and this space station seems to be very, very big, but then this rover over here seems to be pretty big as well, at least big enough to fit in several people, because there's a person over here. But yeah, the shape of the building is really unique. It works well. It reminds you of the old Atari logo, if anybody else has that. But it fits in here well, and it sort of draws in the eye in sort of a natural line. Yeah, the rover is correct scaling. You can tell that. Yeah, you can tell that. But these feel a little bit off, and that's sort of throwing off. That's the thing with skill, right? If one of the things in your scene does not have the correct skill, the entire thing becomes sort of a mystery at that point, right? What's the skill? What am I looking at? And the final point of feedback I have is this planet behind here. I think the atmosphere you're using is maybe a bit too strong, and I would have liked it if the planet here was more visible. Maybe you could have made it bigger, brighter, add in this sort of reddish layer, just to add a splash of color in this shot as well. But that's mostly like my preference, not necessarily something that's wrong. Overall though, amazing submission. Yep, one of the better ones for sure. Again, you're doing really well, and it's great to see you grow. Next one, Lunar Base by Druff. Okay, so we have another big lunar base. Now, I'm pretty sure for this shot that they used an image here as sort of the background, because this looks like an actual photo of the Earth. Sorry, which is a really good idea, because those photos are available for free. You can just use them and they look realistic, right? So it's a really good use of having those photos. If in my last video I've made like a benchmark test scene as well, which is like a spaceship, and in that scene I'm using a photo of Earth as well, just because it's very easy to use. Yeah, I agree with what Joshua is saying here. Because of how things look, it feels a little bit like it might be a toy to an extent. It feels like maybe it's a Lego set or something. Yeah. So the texture feels procedural, right? You can see that this is a procedural texture, and I applaud the idea of using a procedural texture like this. But because it's so in your face, because this is like the hero element of the shot, you'll notice that a texture is sort of procedural and doesn't make sense per se. So these sort of windows, I'm supposing they're or assuming they're supposed to be windows, they're all over the place and don't make sense anymore. Although they do up here, but on the sides here they become kind of weird. And that's sort of a drawback of using procedural textures. So for hero elements like these, you're probably better off applying 2 or 3 materials to designated areas, have windows be in the correct position. It just makes it easier to control how the object looks, and not have just a procedural texture be all over it. Yeah, I agree, Joshua. Adding a few more materials will work. Let's zoom back out. Furthermore, the mountains are pretty cool. I think you use them well to sort of encompass your main object here and draw the attention to it. So that's well done. However, they do feel a little bit low res compared to, for example, the ground, which has a very different texture. So maybe creating elements which blend the mountain into the ground texture would be nice. Adding in some rocks around these borders here to sort of cover that barrier between the two textures is a great idea to not have visible texture differences going on in your scene. Thank you, Marcel. Appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot. And yeah, I'm definitely not understating AI as a potential threat. I just don't see it as a threat myself. I know it could be, and if we let it do its thing, it might be, but I just don't see it like that myself. I don't experience it as a threat, if you will. All right, next one. Lost Civilization Type 1 by Panim. I think this is a really cool submission. I'm not sure how much you guys know about garbage in space. But it's actually becoming quite a big issue for us, because we're shooting so many satellites into space for all kinds of things these days, and some of them break down and we just let them drift into our outer space orbit, and they become clutter, but they're basically like bullets flying around, and they start breaking down eventually, and all these small parts, and they crash into each other, becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's becoming more and more clutter inside of our outer space ring, and it's becoming harder for us to send stuff through. And it's actually becoming so much of an issue that they're scared that if we continue like this, there's going to be so much garbage in space moving at 60,000 kilometers an hour, that we aren't able to leave Earth anymore as humans, because it will be too dangerous. And I think this is sort of a visualization of that, right? It's a planet where they have all this debris going around, and at the same time there's like a million small satellites floating around it as well. So it feels to me like a sort of visualization of that. Yeah, I agree with Joshua here that the low f-stop thing. Space shots usually use cameras with huge focal lengths, because you need to capture so much huge things, and because of that, having any depth of field for these outside space shots is usually very uncommon. So maybe use no depth of field, or have lower f-stop or higher f-stop, I should say. Now my main issue with this image behind, the story is great. I think it's a really cool and troubling thing that's going on for real. But it does feel a little bit noisy, right? Because there's so much debris and so much lights and stuff going on. So maybe zooming it out a little bit, having a little bit less in this image would have made it a little bit more readable for us as the viewer. Yes, yeah, internet will be faster than ever, David. That's true. We can't leave Earth anymore, but who cares? We have the fastest internet. And they're actually working on stuff like that, Atomic, working on like vacuum cleaners or huge nets that they could throw in orbit to sort of capture all this crap. But the thing is, it's all traveling so insanely fast that it's almost impossible to capture. It will just fly right through. Yeah, that's another good one, Joshua. It would be cool to see a little bit of damage. Maybe one of these solar panel arrays could be broken, just to sell the idea of the debris destroying things in orbit. Nice. Next one, A Little Moon Base by Dragon Sage 19. Dragon Sage 19, I think you went for a very low poly stylized approach. No, that's perfectly fine, of course. To me, the main issue with this image would be it feels a little bit flat. I think the lighting is both not strong enough and too uniform. And that's probably because of the position you chose for the light to be in. So maybe you could change where the light source is just to create a little bit more dramatic lighting. I think that would be better, and you can make it brighter for sure. I think there's also quite a few stars. Maybe it's a little bit too much in regards to stars. But overall, the composition works well. We have a character looking at your focal point of the image. There's a cute little stylized moon here. Honestly, I like the style of this moon, and you could probably sell that even further by having this landscape be less realistic and just, own down on that stylization. That's the word, right? Yeah, stylization. So it's a cool approach to go for a stylized low poly look, but just own it. go in hard. And that's it's the same with the two characters, the robot watching the planet. It's a fidelity thing. So if you want to go for a certain style, try to make sure everything sort of matches that style. That would be my main points of advice for this image. The next one, If the Moon Was Made of Cheese by Muhammad Green. It's a very unique submission. The moon made of cheese. And there's a huge mouse or rat. I'm not sure who's gonna eat it. I think it's a funny idea. Personally, I would have liked it if the image was just zoomed out a little bit more, just to create a little bit more context, because now I can sort of tell that this is the moon, but having more of that moon visible, maybe have more light coming from the sides to further highlight the shape of the mouse here, like this. Could have been sort of cool things that make the image a little bit easier to read. Overall, very fun idea. I like the style that you went for. It somehow reminds me of like an old cartoon, an old Tom and Jerry style type cartoon. Not sure if you guys know what I mean, but like it somehow reminds me of that. It gives me like MGM vibes, like the intro of MGM with the lion thing. I think yeah, it gives me nostalgic vibes for sure. Yeah, there definitely could be more lighting in here. An old horror film cover. Yeah, I could definitely see that as well. It has the sort of 90s, 40s, 50s Hollywood appeal to it. And yeah, it definitely comes across as so that's well done for sure. Or a book cover. Yeah, Max Reaper for sure. Book cover could also be this image. Absolutely. Telltale Noir Studios. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I get what you mean. Hello, Virtual. Good afternoon. Doing just fine. How about you? This next piece is called How Did We Get Here by John Lemon. I believe he threw this together in a couple of hours. Let's see, what did he say? Yes, 2 hours. Very rushed. 30 seconds. No, 2 hours. I believe this is supposed to be Oppenheimer or something like that, maybe. There was something going on here. My feedback for this image would be that you have used one light source here and it's too uniform. So I like the background. It creates some cool lighting as well on this rim here of this planet. So that's pretty nice. But the light source you're using as the main thing, it just feels flat and sort of flattens the entire image, making it look like it's not the size that it's supposed to be, right? So if this is a planet and this is another planet, even, besides all realism and whatever, and still having an image look good in that regard, so having depth and having a light separation between elements makes it so an image becomes more appealing to your audience, no matter how stylized or fun or weird it might be. Paying attention to those kinds of things matters anyways. Nully, you can join the Discord, and we host monthly competitions there, and you can just submit your artwork. You can find all the information on the Discord, and the link to the Discord is in the video description, stream description. All right, next one, we have Fight for the Colony Space by Knuckles. Now, I believe Knuckles' previous render also had some sort of Gundam style thing. And this one is really cool. It's a very cool space fight with Gundams. What's not to like? So I think this is really well done. The Gundams look amazing. The shot has action in it. There's motion going on. And my main feedback, and actually the only real feedback I have for this one, is like Big is just saying in the chat right now, it's a bit too busy. There's too many explosions, and that sort of clutters the image, and it's kind of hard to see what's going on. Now, I get that this is supposed to be an intense battle, and you might not necessarily always have to be able to see what's going on, but that's something that usually works better in animation, because your brain has more time to process. But in a still, having such a noisy image, because there's so many explosions, there's multiple Gundams fighting, can be a bit too much. So I would have maybe removed 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 of these explosions and have just one be there as like a hero explosion drawing all your attention. I think the explosions are VDBs. They look kind of cool, but you know, they look fine to me. They might be a bit too red, but you know, explosions can't even happen in space anyway, so it's whatever. I like the stylistic choice of having explosions and rockets flying in this epic space fight. It's underexposed? Maybe a little bit. I'm not 100% sure if it is. I think it could be properly exposed if there was less stuff going on. Yep, but overall cool submission, and I like that you're keeping to the Gundam style, Knuckles. So keep on doing that and keep improving for sure. All right, this next one is called Cosmo Temple by Trey Cochran 3D. Let me know what you guys think. Give me while you guys think, and let me know in the chat. I'll actually grab some water because my throat is becoming sore of all this talking. Be a read. All right, so I see all your feedback coming in, and I get what you guys mean. Absolutely, hey, Max, hey, vibes here. It looks really cool. It's, you know, great composition, great colors, great style. I love this planet thing in the middle here. Whoops, there we go again. It's a bit low quality, this image. I'm not sure why, but yeah, that's a really cool, this thing over here. I do agree with you guys though that this might not necessarily be the most lunar landscape style of an image. Then again, you know, we like to keep these things open, right? There is a planet here, there's stars in the background, there's another planet there. And if this is their interpretation of a lunar landscape, then that's fine by me. As long as there's something relating to the theme, you know, I'm more than happy with it. Yeah, I think there's just some sort of sun face in here. Joshua, nicely spotted. Yo, Chiwi Devil. I think it's a really cool submission. Well done again. Not much I can fault it for. Is it the most lunar landscape thing ever? Nope. But is it a great artwork? Yep, it is. Maybe they could have sold the space a little bit more by having this be just open space instead of plants and stuff. So I have this be the starscape. Makes it a little bit more dramatic and, you know, like we're actually in space. That could be a quite an easy fix to make this more spacey. A temple on the moon, Muhammad. Yeah, I agree. I see that as well. But I can also see why other people are saying it's not the most lunar landscape of submissions. I think it's still pretty cool though. So very well done. All right, next one, Conquest of Moon by Aswin. All right, so we have quite a few elements going on here. And this image is very hard to read. Ooh, question in the chat. GW Devil. I'm thinking to start learning Blender. Where should I start to learn that? I mean, obviously on my channel, first of all. But second, you know, I have several videos on how you should start learning Blender and what a good way and sort of approach of doing this is. There's no one single approach for everybody, of course, but I would say start with tutorials, look at stuff, get invested, learn what things you enjoy, and from there start improving your skills, start creating, start making those things that you enjoy, grow, find new things you enjoy, etc., etc., etc. And then maybe eventually at some point, if you feel like you're actually going to do this, invest in courses or, you know, other paid stuff, a school, personal tutor, stuff like that. All right, so back to the image, Conquest of Moon. I think the assets in this image are pretty cool. I think this guy is really epic looking, but the lighting is just so. What's the English word? It's so there. It's so much in your face that it's almost impossible to read this image. So this robot thing over here, it looks to be very intricate, but the lighting just makes it look noisy and flat, and it doesn't highlight the model in a way. It's just very busy. Too much stuff going on, too much contrast. The planet itself seems to be very white. All the objects on here are either very red or very green, and it's just a little bit too much. So I would tone it down, keep it more subtle. Try adding in one single big light source to light all the objects, and just add in a few rim lights and detail lights on certain objects which you want to highlight that could have some sort of color, but don't use like large fill lights in a single color like green and red and then have them opposed to each other, because it'll be too much. So that would be my main feedback for this image. Definitely keep at it. You know, you got a cool concept of these two sort of races, if you will, fighting each other, aliens versus sort of robots, and keep working on that composition. Next one is called Chillin' on the Moon by L42W. The I think we know maybe where this model is from. Is it from? I think so. Huh? You guys know where this model is from? It looks like one of those models made by Alvin Merle, the sponsor of one of the previous challenges. How many languages do you speak? I speak Dutch, English, a few words German, and I speak some Japanese. That's about it. Yeah, I got what you mean, Joshua. Oh, it's from Sketchfab, this one? Oh, it does remind me of the ones from Albin. Yep, you can join the Discord, Max. Just join the Discord server. submit your artworks. You can submit to the challenges, of course, but you can also submit all your personal artworks. We have a feedback channel. We have a submission, just an art submission channel. So you can submit everything. People will comment on it. The mods will look at it. I will look at it. I don't often comment on it just because it takes too much time these days. But yeah, feel free to submit. We all see it. We all enjoy it. And we're there to help each other grow. Yeah, I'm not going to pronounce your name, but thank you for subscribing, for sure. Yeah, guten Mittag, Mittag, yeah. Oh yeah, Joshua, you're German, right? Yeah, my German is it's basic level. But all right, let's get back to the image. I think it's a cool image. It's a fun idea. You know, this guy's chilling on the moon. He has his TV set up, ready to watch some shows. Sadly, there's no signal, which you know, might expect on the moon. But then again, I think it's pretty cool. What I like in this image, it's one of those small details that I really like, is the fact that they added. Whoa, it's again not letting me do it. Okay, so yeah, there we go. Look at these footsteps. That's so cool, right? It's such a small detail, but it tells a story. It just shows that they came in and they had to walk to the chair. So I think that's really cool. It's a very tiny detail that really sells. The lighting is also very nice in this one. This planet over here looks really cool. I like how sort of gradually this atmosphere fades. I believe that's also how it should look like in the actual real world. Lighting is cool, coming from the TV, giving you a very uniform light source, which is nice and bright for this scene. The cooler is really nice. He can't even drink the beer, but you know, it's a nice touch. It's a funny idea. Yeah, I think most of these assets are kit bashed. They're like downloaded from Sketchfab for free. So there might be a little bit of a mismatch in the assets used. However, you know, from like a storytelling perspective, it works plenty well. Art direction wise, it could use more uniform assets, and it's always good to, when you download an asset from whatever place you get it from, to maybe change it up a little bit. You can always change up the textures inside of Blender, add in some nodes like a hue saturation or contrast node, add in additional noise textures or whatever, and just to switch up how it looks a little bit. All right, and I think this is our last submission. It's called An Out of This World Home by Aishi Geek. And this person was just in the chat, but I believe they had to leave. So sad that they aren't around for their review, but obviously they can still watch the VOD after. I think the concept of this one is really cool, right? So the idea again is sort of this inside out perspective where we're inside a home and we're viewing the space outside of this home. I also like the sort of style they went for. It has this very 90s, zeros, maybe even older 80s style vibe of how space and sort of the future will look like. I think that's a very funny way of looking at things, right? I remember when I was in school as a kid and you had to do this assignment with like, how will the world look like in 2030? And you know, you write down stuff like everything is from metal and cars are flying and half of the population is now a robot and stuff like that. And as a kid, it all makes sense in your head, and it's defined by these images you've seen on TV from older movies at the time. And then 2030 is now nearing up, and we're nowhere near any of that. And even if we were, it would look completely different to that. But the sort of the look and the feel and the idea behind it in my mind, this reminds me very much of that. Yeah, I agree that the character would probably be better off if it were looking outside, as well as the character feeling higher quality than some of the other stuff in this image. So it's again one of those things where assets feel sort of mismatched, and because they're mismatched, the entire image becomes a little bit more confusing. As well as for the lighting in this image, I feel it's a bit noisy. Yeah, this is the last one, Atomic. So, and by noisy, I mean there's quite a few light sources going on. So there's this sort of nebula in the back. We have the light on the actual moon, and we have the lights inside of the house. Now that might be just a little bit too much because our eyes tend to look at the lights, right? And there's now quite a few things we have to look at, and it's starting to muddle the image. So what I would do is maybe get a bit of a close-up of the person looking outside, preferably, because it sends the viewer outside as well. Zoom it in a little bit more, cut out a portion of the house, just show a part of the windowsill and the person, and then, you know, have a look outside. And outside is where the main thing takes place. And if you want to keep it inside, I would say focus on the person, focus on one of the objects, but have the outside be more blurry. Have the outside be darker and less noticeable, and give the attention to the inside. Now it feels, in terms of the lighting, I mean, like you're giving both the outside and the inside equal attention, which is hard for our brain to sort of grasp. Yep, that's the last one. So, you know, let's go back to here for now. And actually, let's go back to full screen. I mean, first of all, amazing submissions again, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to make these. I really do appreciate it. We all three do appreciate it. It's always so cool to see the stuff you guys come up with, both in original ideas as well as in execution. And yeah, I want to say I'm proud. I haven't had that much influence on what you guys do, of course, so it might not be the right word, but I feel proud nonetheless. Yeah, so thank you again. And now it comes down to deciding on the winners again. So we have 3 places to give away: first, second, and third, of course. And we just need to select the top 3 best images. Now I'm gonna make a quick selection of about 9 images or so, and have these as sort of the starting point for deciding on the winners here. So let's go through them again real quick. We have this one by HHKKH. We have this one by Julius. This one by Mangosta. This one by Ben. This one by Popgun. This one by Atomic. This one by Ramond. This one by Sep. Oh, haha, I'm not sharing. Back to the screen, guys. Hey. Such a boomer, right? This guy. Okay, so HHKKH, this one. Julius, this one. Mangosta. Ben. Popgun. Atomic. Ramond. Sep. Hardly Smoker. Diddy Lime. Webbo. Meow. Is your name Meow just to have me say that? Lol, Joshua. The stream lags, does it? How? I'm sorry. I have no idea why that is though. We have this one by Sanjay. It's the chat only. It's not me. It's just chat. Okay. All right. Cool. You know, I'll look into the chat plugin later on, guys. I have no idea why it's so slow, but it might just be that that's it. but we'll have to see. Yeah, this one by Ralph. Brachy. Whoops. Blackwiz. Sigurd. Jordan. KV3D. Truff. Panem. Dragon Sage 19. Mohammed Green. John Lemon. Knuckles. As far as I know, none of these are AI generated, Eugene. Cosmo Temple. Conquest of Moon by Aswin here. Chillin' on the Moon by L42W. And the final submission by She Geek. Now, I'm going to select 9, which are my personal favorites, and then we're going to talk over which ones should potentially win. I'm going to go for this one first. And I'm just going to post these in Photoshop here so we can just sort of, you know, check those out. Let's go for 19. No, let's go for... So what's 1920 times 3? Let's do some times 3. There we go. So that's the width. And this should be a 5, not a 6. And we have the height for 1080 times 3. So there we go. This one can go over there. I think Sora is pretty amazing. I think it's a pretty cool tool. I hope I'm able to use it one day myself to generate, you know, footage for my videos. Obviously, if it uses unlicensed stuff, that's not necessarily how things should go. People should be paid for their art for sure. But besides that, I do fully enjoy the idea of using Sora. I think it's cool, and I'm not scared it's going to take my job at all. Yeah, PureRef is actually pretty good. I have PureRef actually. You know what? You're completely... Or I don't anymore. No, I don't anymore. Okay, I'm going to install PureRef for the next one, Joshua. You're right. It's a really good one. All right, the next one I'm going to take is this one by Atomic. I think it's really cool. So let's just use this one next. No, absolutely this one. This is one of my favorites as well. By Ramond here. So much detail in this one. Lighting is just spot on. Let's just line all of these up. There we go. Like that. I think this one is pretty cool, but I'm gonna leave it on the back of my mind for now. We're definitely gonna use Webos because it's amazing. Webo. Ooh, Meow, I do enjoy your submission. I think it's pretty cool. It's so simple, but it's very effective, and it just tells a very compelling story in my opinion. So I'm just going to use this one as well. No worries, Max. We're all here to help. Nobody's here to press you out or be unkind. You'll just get good feedback. So yeah. Don't worry at all. Sanjay. Yep. Absolutely. Why don't you paste it? Let me paste it. Oh, my bad. There we go. I love this one by Blacklist because it's got so much detail and it's one of the best ones in terms of skill and usage of the actual moon surface, at least in my opinion. There we go. And we have place for 2 more. I really enjoy this one, so let's not think about it too much. We're gonna just put it in there. There you go. And we have 1 spot left. And I feel it should go to KV3D because he made another amazing submission. And he should get, you know, a little bit of props for actually making 2 artworks as well. Although, we might not necessarily care about that, right, for the final image. Yeah, you're in there again, KV. Doing well, doing well. Have I seen your other rendered atomic? No, I'm not sure I have, actually. The crystal one looks really nice. Well, that's the Digilime one, right? I don't want to add more than 9, though. So that would mean 1 would have to go. I did really enjoy the Digilime one, but I enjoyed these more. So I'm just going to leave it at this. Now, we're gonna sort of dial these down to 4 in total. And then maybe, you know what? We're not gonna vote this time around. We're not gonna vote. I'll just decide on it with some of your input, of course. So Julius's image, really nice. Atomic's image, great stuff as well. Especially this amazing planet in the back here. Ramond, amazing detail, very realistic look, super well done. Sanjay, couldn't be cuter. Yeah, it's amazing, Digilime. They're really good. Even, you know, you chose a very unique style, but it works because you went for it. You just really put it on there, and I think that's good. Lunar inspection, great stuff here. Yeah, I mean, this one, moon landing, what's not to love? I think it's just so good. Industrial Revolution by Blackwiz. Lunar Hell by Sigurd. And finally, Lunar Civilization by KV3D. I think, and I see a lot of you guys in chat as well, moon landing might not necessarily be the most beautiful of all the submissions, but it's the best one in terms of storytelling. It's the best one in making you look longer, in my eyes at least, and it's the best one in giving you a bit of fun, you know? It really dials into your emotion. It makes you think, and I think if you can achieve that in an image, especially in a still image, it's not an animation or anything, but if you are able to achieve all of that in an image, you're absolutely deserving of, well, at least second place, but in my eyes, probably first. So I think we can all agree that in this case, Webbo is getting first place, which is unique, guys. We found first place first. So let me just, you know, tag on the medal here. There we go. Congratulations to Webbo for having first place. Absolutely deserved. It's such an amazing piece. Well done. All right, so now we need 2 and 3. I saw a lot of people say Lunar Treat as well. I saw a few say Research in Moon and Lunar Civ. Anyone know for sure which one it shouldn't be? Or which ones they feel like Okay. Okay. You know what? I decided on first place. You guys get to decide on second and third. Let's do that. How about that? I'll just... we're gonna do a poll, guys. Let's do a poll. You know, we're democracy in here. So we're gonna start a poll. Who the winner? And we'll go for Lunar Civ. We'll go for a Lunar Treat, which is the one with the dog. We'll go for 2 more in total. So I think Researching Moon is just stunning in how it looks. Absolutely amazing in execution. So we're going to put that in there as well. Where are you? Yep. Research in Moon. And we're going to add one final one. And I think that's either going to be Lunar Hell or Lunar Industrial Revolution. And I'm curious which guys you guys will choose from those two. Inspection. Which one is inspection? Yeah, it's pretty good. Inspection for sure. Hell, industrial, hell. Yeah, I'm not gonna do another poll for deciding between. Okay, I think I'm gonna go for hell as well, just because I really enjoyed it when I first saw it on the Discord. So let's go. It's very simple. We're gonna run this for a couple of minutes. The one with the most votes is gonna get second place. The one with the second amount of votes is gonna get third place, and all the other ones, you know, bad luck. Your submissions were still great, but sadly not good enough. Now, just so you guys can actually see the ones we're contesting in, we have Lunar Hell, Lunar Treat, Research in Moon, and whoops, and finally this one. Like this. So these are the 4 options we have. Oh, give me a second. The wife's calling. Hello? All right, we're back. $30 votes so far. Let's leave it running for a little bit more. Yeah, well done, Atomic. You had a great submission, and you know, well deserved to be in the top 9 for sure. 8. No, it's not that big. Nope, she's still on work. All right, so it seems to be that Researching Moon is going to get second place and Lunar Treat is going to get third. But we'll leave it running for a few more. There's 38 votes so far. You have to cook now. Yeah, I usually do. I enjoy cooking though, so that's fine. All good. All right, so we're gonna almost end the poll here. I don't think there's many more votes coming in. Oh damn, Mohammed. How many people is that? 9. Oh damn. That's a lot. Whenever we get like friends or family over and I have to cook for 4 or 6 people, I'm always like, it's so much more food and I don't know any cooking times and anything, and it's just annoying generally. So yeah, having more than 2 people to cook for, and I can't even imagine 9. Seems like a hassle, to say the least. Yeah. All right, so we have 47 votes, guys. I think we can call it quits. We have 3 minutes of runtime now, so let's just end it and send it. All right, so there's our poll, with the clear winner being Research in Moon, and the second place going to Lunar Treat. So that means we can just paste them on here. There you. Sorry to see you go, guys. But we have moon landing. We have, let's put number 1 up top here. You know, let's do it like that. And then we make a quick screenshot of this one. We paste it in here. Second place goes here, first goes here, and finally we have third place over here for Sanjay. Oh, that's still place 3. There we go. There we go. Look at that. Nope. Nope, I can't, David. I know, like 100 grams of pasta for one person is 200 grams for 2. I mean, that's easy enough, but you know, like sauces and stuff, cooking times change, meats, stuff like that. But yeah, congratulations everybody. Thank you again so much to all of you for submitting. First place to Webo, congratulations. Second place to Ramond, Research in Moon, and third place is going to Sanjay. Me or the mods will contact each of you individually and make sure you get your prizes, as well as your shiny new Discord roles for the ones who didn't already have one. So start enjoying those. Make sure to flex them on everybody else in the Discord server. And yeah, Mouse, you are a bit too late. Oh, roles are already edited. I mean, there you go. Big is a very proactive mod. Love to see it. I think you guys are getting better and better. So I really enjoy seeing that. And I can't wait, you know, for these challenges to grow bigger and bigger and to see all of you grow further and further. And I want to thank you so much for all the time and effort you spend on these things. It's much appreciated. Absolutely. Moki again with the chicken dance. We're not doing chicken dances. Oh, I think most of my tutorials are actually aimed at intermediate spas, to be honest. I think most of my tutorials are maybe a little bit too difficult for beginners, and they're definitely too easy for pros. And yep, I would love to see your submissions as well, David. It's always fun to have you here. You have some good input as well. And yeah, the more people we can get to join in, the better. Like I said, I am thinking about doing a massive 1 month long or maybe even more challenge along the likes of the Punisher challenges, with bigger prizes, actual dedicated videos as well. And we'll be looking for like proper sponsors and stuff like that to really create a big event in the not too distant future. However, it'll probably be a while before we actually get around to doing that. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be around for a few more minutes before we end the stream. So make sure to ask them now. I could also do proper. I did them before, right? I did render review videos, so I could do that. Ask the top 9 people to send in their artworks as blend files. Maybe make a like an actual video on taking the blend files and changing small things inside of the blend files to make the submissions look better. So yeah, we could definitely do that, and maybe sort of dissect how people have made these blend files. That's actually quite a good idea, Joshua. So maybe I'll do a video like that in the future. Do I recommend to buy K-Cycles bone crossbow? No, I don't think I necessarily do. In my experience, I haven't used K-Cycles myself. Let's begin with that. So I can't really say how good or bad it might be. Having said that, I feel like the regular cycles with the right settings does its job just as well. Right? It does everything you need. It can do it pretty fast. It just depends on how you set up your settings. I've just made a video on improving your render speed, and it's just a balancing act between quality and speed. And the more quality you want, the less speed it'll have, and the more speed you want, the less quality it will have, and that sort of balances it out. And you just need to find the right one. Thank you for being here, Joshua. And yeah, I'll absolutely be at BlenderCon again this year. Cool. Good to hear, Alifred. Yeah, absolutely. We're looking into doing something like that. What helped me get good at Blender? Well, to be honest, I feel like I'm not even that great yet at Blender. It's an always ongoing and learning process for me. So what helped me get good mostly, or where I am today, is just practicing a lot of stuff. I have a lot of prior experience in softwares like Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, making videos, like actual videos, not 3D stuff, but actual videos of real people. I used to be an art director, so I got a lot of experience making images. And if you understand the rules of lighting, design, composition, stuff like that, they apply to each individual field of design, whether it's 2D, 3D art, environment art, flyers for a company, a new logo. What looks good is usually very similar. So I just apply everything I've learned there to Blender, and that seems to work pretty well. So my advice would be try to become a better artist in any direction, no matter which one, and apply all that knowledge into your Blender projects. But if you want to become better specifically at Blender, just focus on tutorials, courses, stuff like that, just to get the skills to actually make what you have in your mind. But even if you're the best modeler in the world, if you don't have artistic vision, you don't understand composition and lighting, you'll never get good renders. I didn't do an origin story, no. No, I didn't, but I probably mentioned it in the live stream or something. I also spoke about it a little bit in a Blender conference interview I did with Pablo 2 years back, so maybe look into that one. Bayek, is BlenderCon in Amsterdam this year? BlenderCon is in Amsterdam every year, so yes, this year too. The Pablo interview. yeah, told you. What you done game dev? I have not done much game dev. I did a little bit of Unity maybe 8 or so years back. I tried a little bit of Unreal as well here and there. But yeah, I haven't done much game dev stuff because it's just another avenue I don't really have time to invest in currently. So it is what it is. No, LA is just an additional one. LA is just for the US audience, because there's a lot of US users, and coming to Amsterdam is not cheap, of course. Nate in Tech, some of the animation that I see done, are you rendering these product animations on Cycles or Eevee? I render almost exclusively on Cycles. So That's the short answer. I think Cycles produces the best looking results. I care about looks, not time. So Cycles is for me the way to go. Plus I have like very high-end hardware, so that's also an easy choice for me. Yeah, you definitely have to go back. We should meet up there for sure. I mean, Maya is still very much an industry standard. So is it worth the money? It might be if you're willing to go into animation for your work professionally. Is it better? I don't know. I haven't used Maya. I'm convinced though that Blender can do basically everything, and if you're good enough at it, nobody will care you're using Blender, because in the end, a company looks at what you produce, not how you produce it. They don't care what software you use, and sometimes they do, right? It's not for each company, but the right ones, they only care about the results. You have to remind me. You make a reminder now. It's always the same weekend as well, right? It's like the 27th, 28th, and 29th of October, or somewhere around those dates, whenever that falls in the weekend this year. So always the end of October. All right. So I'm thinking we're running into well past 2 hours of stream. Can I smile? Am I not smiling during the stream? But there it is. There's my smile. Yeah, I you know, Nate is making a great point here, right? So Max and Maya and stuff like that has been around for ages, and it's been industry standard for ages as well. But Blender is developing extremely fast. It's growing. There are so many people investing in it, not from like a monetary standpoint, I mean, but like investing in time and effort to make it better, to help it grow, to introduce it into pipelines. So I believe at some point Blender will be the industry standard, just because it's accessible, it's free, and it's consistently being updated and growing. And you know, Maya and Studio Max, for example, are expensive. So yep. I think we're gonna wrap up. Like I said, well over 2 hours now. I want to thank you so much again for submitting all your work, for being here in the stream, and also a shout out to Fox Render Farms for again sponsoring the prizes for this challenge. We'll be hosting another one in March again, so you know, make sure to keep an eye out for that. We're gonna propose some prompts again, maybe do something else as well. So yeah, make sure to tune in to the next one. Join the Discord if you haven't already. Consider becoming a YouTube member to help support the channel. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next stream. Oh, the winner is a Webbo with moon landing, by the way. Thank you all for being here. And I wish you all a great weekend. All right. See ya.